With the departure of Kenny Dillingham to Oregon, Mike Norvell has promoted offensive line coach Alex Atkins to offensive coordinator. Atkins has already shown off the recruiting prowess that makes him a rising star in the coaching community, but does he have what it takes to be a primary play caller? Luckily for FSU fans, he already has a body of work in his 1 year as offensive coordinator in 2019 at UNC Charlotte. Here's a graph of the offensive SP Plus ratings at Atkins' last stop. I'll give you a second to guess which year he was calling plays for the 49ers. In his single season as offensive coordinator, he led the 55th best offense according to advanced metrics that factor in strength of schedule. By contrast, the 2 years before and after, Charlotte has an average rating of 103.5. To give some comparison, FSU's offense in 2021 finished one spot below Atkins' performance in 2019. So if these measures give any indication, it looks like he has some promise to be a good to great play caller. So let's jump into the film to decode some of how his offense worked. You can see a lot of influences by Tulane head coach Willie Fritz, who's known for his specific adaptation of the spread triple option. One of the things that makes this offense unique is how they handle H-backs. An H-back is a tight end that is aligned within the tackle box. This alignment gives him leverage to be able to block on either side of the ball, which allowed Charlotte diversity in their running game. More often than not, you'll see this H-back crossing the formation to block backside, in what's called split zone. The offensive line will block inside zone, which means they step at a 45-degree angle to the play side with double teams across the point of attack. This hopes to get the defense to flow towards the play side, and then they'll pin back this contained player and open a cutback lane. Before we look at what split zone looks like on the field, let's talk about one thing that Atkins likes to do pre-snap. You'll see them start with the running back stacked behind the quarterback, and then they'll quickly motion him to either side. Defenses have gotten really good at recognizing which running play you're going to run based off running back and H-back alignment. This is just one way to hide your cards. In this play, the H-back pulls around for split zone, but this linebacker, instead of flowing with the play, hangs out in the cutback lane. This shuts down the cutback, but now App State has a defender covering air, which means Charlotte has 7 blockers for 7 defenders on the front side, leading to a big gain. A common method of stopping split zone is gap exchange. That means that this defensive end crashes hard inside to blow up the pulling H-back in the backfield, and the outside linebacker replaces him as the contained player. However, Atkins has an answer to this. The H-back would bluff blocking the defensive end, and instead block out on the exchanging linebacker. They would then run zone read option. The QB would read this end. If he does crash down, the quarterback would pull with a lead blocker ahead of him. If he stays outside, that means the offense has numbers on the front side. Here's bluff inside zone in action. You can see at the mesh point here that the defensive end crashes inside and the outside linebacker stays outside. This gives a pull read for the quarterback, who now has a lead blocker in front of him and nothing but grass to the end zone. They can also have the H-back insert on the front side of the play. On ISO, this H-back would insert inside, effectively adding a gap there and messing with the defensive gap assignments. Here again is that last second motion by the running back to get set up on the strong side of the formation. Here, this outside linebacker is responsible for the gap to the outside of this H-back. But when this H-back inserts inside, it moves that gap to the inside of the formation. This linebacker never adjusts, which means that App State is out-gapped in the middle of the field. Atkins used ISO with devastating effect in the RPO game. RPOs, or run-pass options, work by taking advantage of players who have responsibilities in both the run game and the passing game. That's usually a linebacker or safety of some kind. In tray formations like this one, this nickel backer both has the outside run alley fit and is responsible for underneath help and coverage. By inserting the H-back like ISO, that shifts his running alignment further inside, increasing the difference between his reads. The QB then reads that he's hanging out in the box, which means that this safety no longer has underneath coverage and this post comes wide open for a touchdown. Another common play seen in Atkins' running game is counter. In counter, you generally pull 2 people from the strong side of the formation, usually an H-back and a guard, over to the weak side to present a numbers issue for the defense. However, Atkins likes to run counter to the strong side by prioritizing quicker offensive linemen, as we've seen in his recruiting class this year. It enables him to diversify the linemen he pulls across the line. Here, Charlotte is running counter to the strong side and pulling both the tackle and guard, meaning you now have all 5 down linemen to the left side of the center. This causes an over-rotation by the defense, and when the defensive end gives a pull read for the quarterback, he has a free path to the end zone. All of this focus on the running game means the offense can be a bit more vanilla in the passing game to find success. Here you have a 3-by-1 spread formation, but in order to stop the run, App State has rolled a safety down to keep an extra linebacker in the box. This leaves this backside receiver with a one-on-one and allows them to run a fade downfield, which draws a pass interference penalty. Another common way Atkins attacked the man coverage he was able to get because of his run-heavy offense was through the use of slants. This outside receiver has a ton of space to work with, which makes an easy completion for this 3rd and 5. Outside of those simple man-beater concepts, Atkins liked to flood one side of the field with switch routes. Pre-snap, Charlotte looks to be in a relatively balanced 2-by-1 set, but after jet motion and the running back releasing on a wheel route, they now have 4 men to one side of the field. The defense is in cover 4, and this tight end on a post route occupies this safety, which leaves a running back one-on-one with a linebacker out in space, which is a mismatch and leads to a big completion downfield. Atkins also managed to stress the defense pre-snap using creative formations. This is what's called a tackle over formation, meaning instead of having a balanced set where a tackle would be here normally, they've shifted him to the other side and replaced him with a tight end. That means that this formation, which looks like a balanced running set, is actually a cleverly disguised trip set. That places extra stress on this linebacker, who has a run responsibility in this A-gap, and you can see him take a step forward after the quick play action. But instead that means he's slow to get back in the hook zone, and Charlotte completes a pass right over his head. It's yet to be seen how much of Atkins' offense will be implemented in FSU next season, since by all indications Norvell has seemed to be the architect of the offense in his time in Tallahassee. However, what is exciting for football nerds like myself is what Atkins represents. He'll be the product of 2 of the more respected offensive minds in college football. While that doesn't guarantee success, it's rare that the fusing of ideas is a bad thing. And if you're an FSU football fan, you should enjoy all of the time you get with your new offensive coordinator, Alex Atkins. Thanks for watching. I plan on doing a more in-depth preview on what you can expect from Alex Atkins in the upcoming weeks with AB and Trey, so make sure to tune in for that. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and check out more great FSU stuff on Tomahawk Nation.